Jess and I'm a coffee blogger. I also run a podcast called Coffee Dates with Jess where I feature coffee shop owners, coffee bloggers, coffee enthusiasts, and I also review coffee shops. So we are actually at Mothership location at Ferguson's downtown, and I'm super excited to take you guys here because this is such a beautiful location. So let's get on it. Hi, Juanny.
Hi.
So nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for doing the interview. I'm so looking forward to it.
So am I. I'm gonna get some coffee ready for you.
Perfect. My favorite thing about this place is their interior and just all the natural lighting that comes into the coffee shop. It's perfect for a coffee date, for a business meeting, to come just study. And also this place is really, really great if you want to enjoy the outdoors. So they have some blankets and you can set up outside and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. So I'm really excited for you guys to come check this place out, and I actually think that my coffee is ready, so we're gonna get to it.
I have some coffee for us to taste.
I'm so excited. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and doing this all with us. So we actually wanted to ask you a few questions. So where did your story kind of begin?
Oh, that's a journey, isn't it? So my story began, I grew up in the food industry. My parents, one of the things that they do, and for immigrants new to this country, they own multiple types of business. And one of it was a restaurant bar.
Oh, nice.
So I grew up like chopping vegetables, washing dishes, waitressing, managing their books, all those things. So I had a lot of fun, you know?
That's awesome. So then you doing that, you made you kind of really want to like open up a coffee shop now?
Well, what my parents told me was they said never go into the food industry.
Oh, really? That's funny. Now you own like 4 locations.
I know.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, coffee isn't technically food.
Right.
I think I was a little preemptive. I opened Sunrise on the first day of the recession.
Oh man, okay. You're brave.
Yeah, and I was just like, doors are open, where is everybody? And like, oh, the world's falling apart? You should still get coffee.
Was it kind of hard to get things started? Because honestly, I feel like Sunrise was like the thing that kind of like started to set off coffee shops in Las Vegas in that industry.
Owning my own business, I didn't really understand the difficulties and the long nights and the stress that my parents had.
Yeah.
That was really something they omitted, you know, from bringing the house. I could tell that they were stressed out, but I never knew why. But owning my own business, going into the food industry, I now realize like the inherent difficulty being a small business owner is. As not only a minority, a double minority, I don't have a college degree. Like this has been like, I worked different jobs, I saved up my money, you know, I opened in the only place that would take me. So Sunrise, I love Sunrise. It's hugely successful. We were truly the beginning of this wave. And there's been so many other great cafes that have come out of that and have their own following as well. But it's a beast.
So what's something that kind of sets you aside from like every single coffee shop? Because I know that you're really involved in the community and also into like women entrepreneurs.
So when I looked at Mothership and the concept for Mothership, I was like, what is it that if I were to really just almost do what I do as alchemy, is it truly coffee? It is. Coffee is the medium for us to connect. It's the medium for my staff to connect with each other, and it's the medium for the community to connect with each other.
So did you guys kind of like roast here or like?
We're at Mothership Coffee in Green Valley, and I'm gonna show you how we roast. So this is our Diedrich IR12 roaster. It's a 26-pound roaster, which means we can roast up to 26 pounds per batch. But before we start roasting, I always want to heat up the roaster for about 30 minutes to an hour. So I'll come in here, I'll turn all my switches on, I'll get my burner going, make sure air is flowing through the roaster, and I have my burners ready to heat the roaster up. I want to make sure all the metal in this roaster is heated up nicely and evenly so that I have as much energy as possible during the roast to make sure that I'm roasting this coffee well. And as soon as I start heating up my roaster, I want to come get my batches of coffee ready. So I want to roast the same amount of coffee each time I roast so I can maintain that consistency and deliver consistent coffee every time. Coffee is actually a seed that grows in a cherry on a tree. It's not actually a bean. And so I want to take the seedy qualities away from that coffee. I want to bring out some of the sugars and the sweetness and the acidity that coffee offers. And that's what we're going to be doing when we roast. So I'll get my batch ready, and then I'll bring it back over to the roaster, and I'll dump it in the hopper on top. And then I'll make sure that my roaster is heated to the temperature that I want it to be when I start roasting. That varies for each coffee, but I want to make sure I have enough energy ready to roast this coffee to perfection. So once my coffee's in the hopper, I'll make sure I'm preheated, and then I'll make sure my airflow is set to the correct setting, and I'll dump my coffee into the drum, and then we start roasting. There's a flame underneath the drum in this roaster that's going to heat that drum and transfer energy into that coffee, breaking down the cellulose and the plant structures in that seed into more simple sugars like glucose and sucrose and fructose, which is where we'll get those delicious flavors, sometimes fruity flavors like in an Ethiopian coffee, sometimes sweet chocolatey flavors like in our Brazil or our Ballast or our Peru or Mexican coffees. But I'm really focusing on each coffee individually to bring out the flavors that that coffee offers. So after a few minutes, I'll start to check my trier on my roaster. I'll see if I'm roasting the coffee evenly, if it's drying properly. I'll get some aromatic smells from the coffee, and then I'll slowly lower my gas as I roast along to kind of flatten how quickly I'm heating the coffee and really focus in on those last 6 or 7 minutes of the roast and make sure that I'm developing as much flavor as I can. And then after about 15 minutes, I'll open up the drum and I'll dump the coffee into the cooling tray. I want to freeze it there. I don't want to roast it anymore. I want to make sure that no more sugars are getting broken down. I want that coffee to stay there so I can maintain that consistency. And that's about what goes into roasting a batch of coffee.
Roasting is a culinary science. So it does take an apprenticeship, an understanding of tasting, and an understanding of being able to grasp that each person has a relative concept of what good tastes to them, right? You drinking coffee with your grandma is very, very different. And that's gonna be very different from my experience of drinking coffee with my grandma. And they actually have an impact on how you perceive taste. And how can I make good seem applicable across a large portion of individuals? So when we roast coffee, I consider it a very democratic process because we're a very inclusive process. Like I'm taking this coffee and I'm roasting it so that this person over here with their background can still be receptive to it. And this person over here.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for just taking the time and just like sharing all of that with us. It's so inspiring. Thank you so much for this. And yeah, just thank you for your time.
Thank you.
So that is it. Thank you, Juanny, once again, for just allowing us to hear your story. Just so inspiring to just know how much heart took into making Mothership. So I'm so excited for you guys to check out a Mothership location. And now I'm gonna go grab another cup of coffee. So, bye.